director of the experiential learning program called Urban Trekkers, their outdoor division. And so I introduce to you Jim Cummings. Jim?
You know, Tom, you introduced me as the director of experiential learning, and that just sounds so academic, and I like to think of myself as the director of making learning fun and exciting.
Amen.
Right? Yeah, very good. Greetings. I bring greetings from Urban Promise, from all of our youth, our families, our staff, Dr. Main. And it's exciting to be here with you this morning. Tom mentioned that our relationship goes back to the very first Pedal for Promise, 11 years ago. And you've been so faithful and a friend, and to be able to share worship with you here today at Summers Point, and we'll be on our way to Good Shepherd afterwards, is a real joy and an honor, I have to say. I'd like to introduce, we have staff with us this morning, and Jennifer Giordano, the Director of Church Relations, and Jennifer, you keep us in good stead with all of the tremendous churches that have come alongside Urban Promise for many years, for almost 30 years, as a matter of fact.
Not me. That was me back then.
And I brought a student with. I have my wife here with me, by the way. And I have a young woman, Yormelis, one of my students. Yormelis, come on up. If you will. So I just have to tell you a little bit about this young woman. So Yormelis, here, join me in this pulpit, and we'll get this microphone. Yormelis is a junior at the high school, the Urban Promise Academy, and I first met you like 3 years ago as an incoming freshman. Didn't speak a lot of English back then. But the one thing that I'll never forget about Yormelis, as she met me and she learned about trekking and all of the opportunities, she told me she'll never miss or not take advantage of an opportunity that comes her way. Since that time, I'm going to just let you share where you've been, what you've done. Would you? Okay.
I've been to New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Washington, D.C. I've been paddling the Cooper River, Delaware River, Schuylkill River. I built a boat. I built a tent. I've been hiking. I've done community service with other schools. I'm part of the Students in Action and student representative, and I talk in many other things.
So where are you going? Where are we going this summer, and what are we doing?
Hopefully I'll be joining Mr. C in Trek Malawi in Africa.
And we're going to be bicycling. How many miles?
300 miles.
Yeah, 300 miles. So Yormelis and I were practicing yesterday for the Pedal for Promise, and we got lost, right? Yormelis and I and another student. And one of the things, being the head of this Trekker program, Mr. C has a reputation for being this outdoor explorer guy that could never get lost, go anywhere, find his way back. So I usually don't let the students know when I'm lost. I fake it. But Yormelis caught on to me very, very early. And one day she came up to me and she said in this soft voice, she goes, "Mr. C, I know your tricks." Thank you, Yormelis. As Rand and I were driving here this morning, coming down to the shore, We live in Pittman, so coming to the shore is just a wonderful feeling. And it reminded me of the ocean. And as I was thinking of the ocean, I was thinking of this little girl in her science class with her teacher. And they were learning all about whales. And she was told that the whale was the largest mammal on the planet. But yet it had a very small throat, and that it could not swallow a person. Well, the little girl raised her hand and said, "What about Jonah?" And the teacher said, "No, very small throat would just not be possible." The little girl said, "Well, when I go to heaven, I'm going to ask Jonah." And the teacher said, "Well, what if Jonah didn't go to heaven? What if Jonah went to hell?" The little girl said, "Well, then you ask him." I know, and you know, you never know what, when you work with young people, what you might get. But I want to share a scripture with you this morning that I think is very, very meaningful to the work that Urban Promise does in Camden, New Jersey. And I'm going to read from John's Gospel, the first chapter, and verses, I think it's 43 to 51. Jesus calls Philip and Nathanael. The next day, Jesus decided to leave for Galilee. Finding Philip, he said to him, "Follow me." Philip, like Andrew and Peter, was from the town of Bethsaida. Philip found Nathanael and he told him, "We have found the one Moses wrote about in the law, and about whom the prophets also wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." Nazareth? Can anything good come out of a place like that? Nathanael asked. Can anything good come from a place like that? "Come and see," said Philip. When Jesus saw Nathanael approaching, he said of him, "Here truly is an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." "How do you know me?" Nathanael asked. Jesus said, "I saw you while you were under the fig tree before Philip called you." Then Nathanael declared, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God, the King of Israel." Jesus said, "You believe because I told you I saw you under the fig tree? You will see greater things than this. Very truly I tell you, you will see heaven open and the angels of God ascending and descending on the Son of Man." Come and see is what Nathanael was told. Nazareth, can anything good come from such a place? At Urban Promise, we are blessed. We have literally hundreds of college students, high school students, young adults that come every year, spend a week on a mission trip with us. And one of the things we do is we'll take them on a tour of the city of Camden, and we'll share the history of the city. Great history, the city of Camden. First half of the 20th century, Camden, New Jersey is a manufacturing mecca. New York Shipbuilding, 30,000 manufacturing jobs. RCA, 12,000 manufacturing jobs. Campbell's Soup, 20,000 jobs in production and manufacturing. Estabrook fountain pens. Anybody remember an Estabrook fountain pen?
Yeah.
Made in Camden, New Jersey, right? Well, I give these tours to these college students, and this is always fascinating to me. We're at the Camden waterfront, and the old RCA building with this beautiful stained glass window in the tower of the little dog Nipper, right? Does anybody remember Nipper? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, so I'll say to the students, I'll point to that stained glass, and I'll say, does anybody remember RCA? They don't, right? I mean, can you imagine? And you know, what I say to them, I say, you know, guys, put yourself 40 years later, and you're telling some young people about a company named Apple, and they stare at you with a blank face. That's kind of what it feels like when I share about the great RCA company. If anybody here doesn't know about RCA, afterwards I'll take questions about it. And one of the other things I do as we're going through the city, I go to this cemetery. It's called Evergreen Cemetery. And I go to a place where there's these small little placards. It's a cluster of them. There may be 40 or more. And on those little placards are names and date of birth and death. And usually it's like 1 or 2 days or 3 days. There are these little babies that were born to mothers addicted to crack cocaine in the mid-1980s. In the mid-1980s, there was an epidemic of crack cocaine in our inner cities, in our urban areas, and young women who became pregnant while addicted had these premature births, and often the babies died in infancy. So one day, I had a call from a pastor at a small Baptist church outside of Boston, Pastor Larry. Pastor Larry was new to the church. He was the youth pastor. Charlie, he wanted to take the youth group on a mission trip. The youth group hadn't been doing anything like that for years. They've been having pizza parties and going bowling, and he wanted to find deeper meaning and purpose for these young people. And they were looking at opportunities, and they learned about this urban ministry in Camden, New Jersey, called Urban Promise. And Pastor Larry called, and he wanted to know more about what a trip might be like, and he was very concerned about the safety of the students. He had shared with me as they were doing their research, some of the parents were very concerned about their children coming to Camden, New Jersey. So we chatted. I explained to him about the time he would have with us and how meaningful, and the students would be safe. They would have nice lodging. We would certainly take care of them, and we welcomed them to come alongside of us. So the youth group from Brookdale Baptist Church was in the spring. They arrived at Urban Promise. And there were 15 of them, students and leaders, and I gave them their tour and took them to the cemetery. And at the cemetery, students were really moved. Because one of the things I share when we're at the cemetery is, you know, often we think of poverty. We think of the material sense of poverty. But poverty is so much more. It's so deep. There's emotional poverty. There's spiritual poverty. There's academic poverty. All of that leaves people with a sense of there's no hope. There's no promise in their lives. So we're there at the cemetery, and students are emotionally moved. Later that day, Pastor Larry says, "Hey, Jim, you know, I know we have some work projects to do tomorrow afternoon around your campus. Would it be okay if the students and I went back to Evergreen Cemetery and did some cleanup?" It was early spring. There was a lot of debris in the cemetery. And I thought, wow, that would be awesome. How meaningful. And I just was really pleased that the students were moved and felt a sense of wanting to go back to that place. Well, they did, and the following day, they were at the cemetery, and I got a call from Larry while they were there, and his voice was trembling, and he was quite upset, and he said, "Jim, we've got a problem. One of the students found a large cardboard box, and there's a plastic bag inside the box, and the stench of death is overwhelming." I said, "Well, Larry, let me call the police. Just stand by." A little while later, I get a call from Larry again. This time there's like this nervous laughter that's coming from him. And he said, Jim, the police showed up, and the guy looked at the cardboard box, and he put on a pair of gloves. He reached into that plastic bag, and he pulled out a dead turkey vulture. But you know what they thought? It was Camden. Could anything good come from such a place? Well, I'll tell you how that story ends. A good month later, Pastor Larry and the youth from Brookdale Baptist Church invited Rayanne and I to come up for Youth Sunday. So we went up to worship with the good people from Brookdale Baptist Church. I went to the Sunday school class with all of those youth that had spent time with us. And one by one, they raised their hand, and it's, you know, Mr. Cummings, how is Rasheen doing? You know, Rasheen's family got evicted from the apartment they were living in the week we were working with them in the after-school program. How about Shakira? You know, Shakira's younger brother got picked up on a drug charge, and I've been just thinking about her, Mr. Cummings. We've been praying for her. We've been praying for all of those young people at Urban Promise that we got to spend time with. You know, you would think that maybe there would have been a little sadness in me as these students were just, you know, weeping and sharing their worries and their concerns. And I got to tell you, there was a part of me that felt a sense of joy, because I thought about that wonderful quote from Mother Teresa. You say you love the poor, name them. That's what those young people from Brookdale Baptist were doing that day. And when I think of the fellowships, Tom, that you have been shepherding for these years, and your relationship with Urban Promise, I think of a congregation, I think of a people that care, and not just care and put money in the basket. I think of a people that come alongside us, that come and see. And I love, you know, what Jesus said to Nathanael. Come and see. You've not seen anything yet. The heavens will open. The angels will come forth. So, good friends, today, I ask you, come and see. For God loves you. We are neighbors. Let us pray.